Hello and welcome to the Yarnings Podcast. I'm Christine and I'll be your host. This is episode 30. I think I'm going to call it the Before New York episode. Today is Tuesday, October 14th, and it is raining in the Pacific Northwest. This is a little more typical October for us. I'm going to adjust us just a touch. There we go, that's a little better. All right. So I'm feeling a little scattered today. I've got a lot to do and I really wanted to still record, so I apologize in advance if I'm a little spacey. I'm going to try hard to follow my outline and not babble along. Although, there's always some babbling that goes around. So, to get us started, I thought I'd tell you a few of the stories of things that happened to me this week. I just got done with a nice lunch with Erin of the Anatomy of Knitting podcast. Some of my friends refer to her as Anatomical Erin. She is so much fun, and I really enjoy every time we get to spend together. If you don't watch her podcast, she is currently living in Ireland, and that means it's not very likely we get to see each other too often, so every chance we get to is just an exciting blessing. So I had a lovely lunch with her, and hopefully we'll get to see each other again. We may do a little bit of a podcast together, maybe for hers, maybe for mine, I don't know, we'll see, but you should definitely check out her podcast. And then beyond that, I've just had kind of a busy week. I've been doing a bunch of stuff. I went to a couple family events, got to see my nephew play basketball. He's just starting out. He'll be 8 this next week. And so this is his first time playing in a little league. So he's having fun with that. So it's fun to see him with that. And I got to hang out and knit with Leah while we watched. And then I went to church with their family the following day, so I got some awesome time with the niece and nephew. And then I went and played games with Eric. When we go to Guardian on Sundays, they do a game day every other week. Usually we just play 2-player games. When he goes by himself, he goes and plays with whoever. But when I go, I tend to want to try out the 2-player games so that then we have an idea of things that we might want to buy. And I'm jumping a little ahead into the geeky section, but indulge me. We went and played at Guardian, and we actually found a couple that was interested in having people play with them, and I had a really nice time playing some 4-player games. We introduced them to one of my favorite game designers' games, Stefan Feld. He is the new hotness in my head of game designers that I want to make sure I own as many of his games as I can. I have 3, and I claim them as mine because I searched them out and decided I needed them. So I say those are my games. One of them wasn't as good as we hoped, so we just definitely do need to play test before we buy. So I'm watching for some of the game libraries at the game stores we go to or the gaming convention to add more Stefan Feld games to their collection so that I can try them out. Do you think maybe I should write some emails, make some suggestions? Maybe that'd help. So beyond that, I am getting ready for Rhinebeck. That will be happening very soon. I leave very early Thursday morning, and I will be busy tomorrow, so I need to get a lot of stuff done today to be ready for that, because today's Tuesday. You'll see this on a Wednesday. So Wednesdays are busy for me with all the activities that I normally do, and I'm going to try and do all of my normal things. I do yoga at the Y, and provided my legs hold out, that's my plan tomorrow, even though it's going to be a busier day and I have lots of walking coming up in the weekend. So, travel is definitely on my mind. Before before I transition into the next segment, I did want to let you guys know that Shauna Knit for Beer, who won the contest last time, she contacted me and I got her hooked up with a pattern, and she is going to be knitting my Wren shawl. And I was just tickled that was what she wanted to knit. So I will really look forward to seeing what she knits it in. I always love seeing people's Wren shawls. It is still my favorite thing I've designed. Although I do have a new pattern that I'm working on that I am pretty thrilled with. So the actual transition here was, we've got a new contest. I am going to be getting some sort of small Rhinebeck treat, nothing huge and grand. Don't guess I'll be coming home with a skein of Empire the size of my head to give away. Or is it the size of 2 heads? I don't remember how that goes. I think Stockinette Zombies are where I heard that. But something small, some fun thing that I find that I'd like to pass on to one of you. And so, to participate in this contest, I will have a thread up in the Ravelry forum. The question that you will be answering: if you could bring one item along with you for travel knitting, what would it be? It's probably going to be a lot of similar answers. I would love to see if you link to a project that you did specifically while you were traveling, whether you were on planes, trains, automobiles, just bussing back and forth to something. It's always fun to see what people do when they travel. So the story of how I began knitting was for travel knitting. We were going to be going on a drive down to Southern California for some holiday, I guess, and I was worried about the long car ride. It was my first time as an adult to be going down, and I'm a passenger. I don't drive, so I thought that was an opportunity to learn to knit. So a few months before, I got a book from the craft store and a skein of yarn and a pair of green-sized head needles that now my niece is using, and I taught myself to knit by laying the yarn out in the shapes in the book. And so by the time we went on our trip, I had already finished my first scarf. And I went on to my second scarf. And so that was my travel knitting. I think I was also working on some hop hats. That was my first travel knitting. So that's my story. I want to hear yours. So I will link to the thread in the show notes. It'll be in our Ravelry group, and you must be a member to win. And please add your story, add a link to a project if you'd like. That would be awesome. And I will draw a winner in 2 weeks. So not this coming. The 21st would be next Tuesday, so the 28th, when I record, I will draw a winner and I will ship off a prize. So thank you for playing. All right, moving along. So let's start out our knitting section. I will set down my knitting and show you what I'm wearing with its fancy DPN shawl pit. This is the Abigail cardigan by Cecily Glauc McDonald, and the really exciting part of this cardigan is actually the yarn. So this is my hand spun. I purchased the fiber at Madrona one year. I bought a little more fiber to ply with it at Black Sheep Gathering one year, and spun on my drop spindle, and then I finished it all up, washed, thwacked, let it sit in a beautiful box. I have a pretty, nope, you can't see it, a pretty green box up there that it sat in for a couple of years because I thought it was too precious to knit with. Silly. I apparently have not been listening to the Knitmore Girls enough, because you'd think they would have convinced me all these years that you just need to knit with it. So this last summer, I knit this while I was on my trip to Illinois and Minnesota, finishing up at the Zombie Apocalypse, where I actually finished, bound off the sweater. I think the last night I was there, and um, I like it. It grew a little bit. It's a little biasy, but I like it. It layers really nicely over things, including dresses. I'm not sure about the color combo I wore it with today. That might be a little more bold than I usually would go with it. I like to wear it with the lime green to pull out the little pops of lime green or black. One of the other interesting things about this was after I separated off for the arms, I decided I didn't want to break up the color progression because I was using 3 different fiber braids, and so the color progression was kind of cool. So I stopped at the sleeves and used as much of the hand spun as I could, and then added a coordinating color button band and cuffs. So this is one of the 3 abstract fiber colorways I had for the fiber, and I found it in sock weight yarn, so I used that to kind of tie it together. So I threw this on for meeting Erin for lunch because she had been with me when I picked out all the fiber, and so I knew she would appreciate getting to actually see it now that it was done. And yeah, so now you guys got to see it and hear the little story about it too. Finished objects. So I have a secret finished object. I will take some pictures and add it in soonish. I also have another finished object, and in my notebook this morning when I wrote the show notes, I wrote work in progress because it wasn't bound off yet. So behind me, that's the fan that was on, I turned it off for recording, is my Rhinebeck sweater. And it is blocking back there. It's had its bath. I've laid it all out nicely. I was a little worried about the feather and fan because it was puckering so much before it got washed, but it seems like it's laying flat now, and I am really excited about it. I have a bunch of ends to weave in because I did alternate skeins, and so there were spots where I had to start new balls here and there to make it work right. So I definitely have a bunch of ends to weave in, but it is done virtually. I could wear it to Rhinebeck with the ends out, and that would probably still be okay. So that was a big accomplishment. I spent a lot of work on the band. It's not really a button band, there's no buttons. But feather and fan sometimes takes me a while. It's one of those things that you don't think it's going to be so much, but it was 252 stitches, I think, and I have to count for feather and fan. I guess I could place a whole bunch of markers, but that would have slowed me down a lot too. So I did a lot of it while listening to our newest Discworld book. My husband and I have been listening to the audio versions of Terry Pratchett's Discworld, and we are on night watch. And for how much I love some of the stories, this may very easily be my favorite. And I'm only halfway through it. It's just an awesome book. And so luckily we've had that to listen to, and I've been so entertained by it that I've been able to sit there and knit on my sweater, and then I wasn't sidetracked by trying to watch TV while I was doing it. I just could listen and knit, and that was great. So that is done. And that is the Feather and Cloud sweater by Veera Välimäki in Madelinetosh Chunky in the colorway Spectrum. And I have more than 2 skeins left. We'll put it up here again so you can see the actual color, because when it's back, yeah, like that. So I did have to wind up the 3rd ball. I was hoping to keep all 3 left, but I didn't use all of that. That was just for maybe the second half of the button band. So I've still got quite a bit, because these are upside down 165 yard skeins. So I have more than 300 yards that I can still play with for something. I don't know what. I don't usually knit with bulky weight chunky Aran-y weight yarn. So I'll have to think of something cool. Okay, the next thing that I have on my list is the sockhead hat. Actually, it's not the next thing, but I'm going to flip it ahead because I'm here. So I am almost done with this. I think if I measure it, it's probably longer than it says. I just was knitting on it a little more right now, so I had something in my hands. So I think what I need to do is do the crown decreases, which is a very short sequence that happens really quickly, and bind it off, and it will be done. I still haven't decided if I'm keeping it. I do like the colors a lot, but I think it's going to take putting it on. See, this part does fold up, so it's not quite as long and crazy as it looks. But it is awfully long, and so I'm not sure yet if it's gonna suit my head. But I've really enjoyed knitting it, and I foresee more of these in my future. So that is the sockhead hat pattern by Kelly McClure in Plymouth Diversity. So the actual next thing on my list, in order of my bullet journal, is I Catch the Happy Snowman socks, which are also almost done. I'm adding just a little bit more to the ribbing on the top. I just wanted it to be able to knit on these a little bit more. I worked on them a little bit at lunch, and yeah, I'm happy. I'm a little, almost an inch above the top pattern, so I think it's about time to bind them off, and they will probably go with me on my trip. Again, they were just a convenient thing to work on between things. I still have my sample knit, which is in my Java Jenny bag, but I won't show you. That is coming along and being finished soon. And those are all of my works in progress. They're all almost done. So crazy to have it all line up and be almost done at the same time. So I definitely need to cast on more things. And I showed you these last week, but I will grab them again. So I'm going to make vanilla socks out of my candy cane yarn, which is in my Michelle with 1L bag. And a Color Affection lace weight. Oops, it's caught on there. Lace weight out of some beautiful fall colors. I still don't know what progression. I think it's going to go orange, green, purple, because I think I want a big purple stripe at the end. And I think the green works well with both of them. So that's probably how it's going to be. So that will probably be cast on. Probably both of those will get cast on at least by either tomorrow or Thursday, so that then I have those things to work on. I kind of wish that I was bringing a sweater to work on, but the next thing that I wanted to do is the Japan sleeves. I'm just afraid that's going to be too brain intensive to be able to do around other people, so I think the Color Affection and the vanilla socks are going to be a great carry along thing. They're just not, they're both small yarn, and so I'm kind of, I don't know what else I want to bring that might be big yarn. Maybe I should look for something because, you know, another project, that'd be great. And it's not like I'm not going to be near yarn. There is going to be some yarn. So probably should stick my ChiaoGoo needle set over in the pile to go. Yes. But I also have been looking at what is on my wish list that I might want to buy yarn for. I was kind of making up a little sheet of my top contenders for what I might want a sweater's quantity worth of something. I'm kind of thinking I want a worsted DK weight sweater. I don't have very much of either of those weights. I have almost no DK weight and very little worsted. So that's kind of one of the things I'm thinking I'll look for. So I have a list of 7 contenders plus thought of maybe the custom fit sweater pattern, but pieced sweaters still kind of scare me. I may need to get over that. So I have a nice list of things that I'm really excited about, and they're all probably things I will knit. It's just what order and how many years it is until I get to those things on my queue. But I will definitely be looking for some sweater yarn, because that'd be awesome to have souvenir Rhinebeck yarn to make a sweater with. Oh, that would make me so happy. Next up, oh, I meant to bring Splendor upstairs because I'm going to put it in a cute little pink baggie that I got at IKEA and bring it along with me. I was thinking also about getting Gloom this weekend, and we were going to play it at Guardian, and we got too caught up in all the other games we were playing. Rebecca from Fiber and Dice podcast just did a walkthrough of Gloom, and even though the storytelling type games aren't always my kind of games, it sounded like a lot of fun, and it definitely seemed like something that I could bring along, play a little bit of it after dinner or something with friends. But that one wasn't in the cards this time. That was funny. But maybe I'll get to try that out before the next thing. I am crooked here. There we go. And then also geeky wise, we have been watching very little TV. We just don't seem to have the time for it this year. But we have been watching S.H.I.E.L.D. If you started watching S.H.I.E.L.D. and thought this season was starting out a little slow, I'd encourage you to watch the newest episode from last week. I think that one definitely had a little more like what I was expecting. So Castle and S.H.I.E.L.D. are pretty much the things that we are keeping up on, and I still haven't gotten to Scandal. I've just been so busy. I haven't even had a chance. I've been watching podcasts, and that makes me awfully happy. So I'm not going to be sad that I'm not caught up on Scandal. I will get caught up on Scandal. For in the kitchen today, I'm going to show you my silly trail mix. This is in one of my Snapware containers. And I tried, when I went on a day out of the house, and I brought with me some dried fruit. And what I happened to grab was some dried papaya and some dried mango, but it was the chili seasoned dried mango from Trader Joe's, which I'd never tried. And they actually tasted really good together. Something about the spicy and the sweet. And so then I concocted a trail mix idea around it. I've got almonds and little bitty pieces of crystallized ginger. There's a few peanuts. There's some big coconut flakes and the papaya and mango. And then I was thinking, well, I should put some chocolate chips in here, but then chocolate chips always get melted. And since I want to bring this on my trip, I found a container of green M&Ms that we had divided up to take out the colors for some other reason. So now it's my green M&M trail mix, and I see right here on the top, I got a heart. I cut it, and it just cut out perfectly heart-shaped last night. So if you follow me on Instagram, you already saw that. Somehow it just landed on the top, even though I shook the whole thing up. So, brainstorm, make some trail mix. Think of some interesting flavors and put them together. I will be putting a little bit of that into some baggies and bringing it with me. Because when I go on trips, sometimes I don't find the time to eat coordinatedly when I should. And so having a few snacks in my bag between long flights and airports and transportation and all that, it just can't hurt to have a few things. I've got some pretzels and the trail mix and some bars, and that will help me for any span where I'm not near a restaurant or I'm not ready to really eat yet. And then, okay, I was going to show you something. Let's see. I can rotate just a touch. So on the back wall back here, right there, those are my purse hangers. I have been doing a new thing where I kind of process the stuff in my purse before I'm done with it for an event. So I come to my craft room and I have this basket that normally sits back on the other side of that file pile, and I stick all of the things from my purse that might be something common that would need to go into the next bag. So then I'm not worrying about what I might be forgetting inside my purse because it's all right here. So there's all sorts of stuff in here. That's my iPad case. I've got my battery pack for my iDevices, wallets, keys, and that's been working really well. I saw a post yesterday that made me think about sharing this. My friend Corey, her blog is Let's Eat Grandpa, all squooshed together. She was posting about simplifying your purse. And that's kind of what my theory was having my stuff together so it was simplified, so then I don't have 5 different versions of things in all the purses. So I'll link to that in the show notes if anyone's interested. I've known her for blogging for a long time, and it was a really thought-provoking post for me. So I thought I'd share that with you as well. Girliness, I am also, as I'm preparing to travel, right now I'm at the stage of I have everything in the laundry right now in one stage or the other, so some of it is still drying, and I'm starting to match up hand knits with shawls and socks so that I know that I have cohesive outfits to bring, because I work best when I have a plan. Doesn't have to be a super detailed plan, but just having things coordinated in advance is a nice way to have me be calm on my trip. So I don't open up my suitcase and say, oh, what am I supposed to wear? And I know that different people have totally different travel styles. For me, though, I like having my stuff in a format that I can say, okay, these are the things for Thursday. These are the things for Friday. Groupings. So I am at the matching up shawls with outfits stage of packing, and I will be moving right along in that packing progression after I finish recording. So I do think that's going to be the end for today. Don't forget about our contest. We will be having fun talking about that, and you are welcome to chatter away in that thread. I will go through and make a list of everybody who enters and draw from that. So that way people can have conversations until our forums are a little busier. I think that's going to work just great for us. And that will encourage people to get to know each other anyhow. And I love that about Ravelry forums. Also, if you are going to be at Rhinebeck, I really want to meet you. I know there's a few people that have mentioned that they'll be there, so please do come and meet me. If you hear me throughout the event, please do come up and say hello. Do remember that you see me, but I don't always recognize you, so make sure you introduce yourself. And I will be at the Ravelry meetup and the podcaster meetup. The podcaster meetup is just following the Ravelry meetup. They are on the hill by the entrance, is what I'm understanding. I'm assuming there's something there that everybody stands, and my first time, I don't know. And it's on Saturday. The Ravelry meetup's at noon. The podcaster meetup's at 1. I should be at both. So do come and find me. I want to meet you. And I think that is everything on my list. So you can find me as Christine with a K on Ravelry. I am KDLB, just the letters, on Instagram and Twitter. You can find the Yarnings podcast on Facebook. I've been posting updates there. So if you're on Facebook, go ahead and like the podcast. And for the show notes and the links to everything I talk about, they will be up on yarningspodcast.com. And until next time, that's the story. Bye.